Ferrari shares slumping this morning, the market reacting with disappointment after the Italian manufacturer unveiled its first fully electric car.
Ferrari's first electric car launch turned into a public disaster within hours. When Ferrari unveiled its EV in Rome on May 26, 2026, the backlash was immediate, with fans comparing the design to economy cars and social media erupting into mockery. The controversy became so intense that former executives and automotive insiders publicly turned against the project. And watching it all unfold was YouTuber Matt Armstrong.
What would happen if you turned the traction control off on an 820 horsepower Ferrari 296?
A man who has spent years clashing with Ferrari over repairs, access, and control. So why has Ferrari become so defensive over its new direction? And what did Matt Armstrong reveal that made the situation even worse for the company? Join us as we uncover why Ferrari's electric car launch sparked outrage and why Matt Armstrong is now at the center of the storm. The moment Ferrari showed the world a car nobody expected. For decades, Ferrari said it would never build an electric car. Former chairman Luca di Montezemolo said with the confidence of someone who has never had to walk back a statement that he would never drive an electric Ferrari, not even if he were drugged. His predecessor, Sergio Marchionne, called a silent zero-emission Ferrari outside the character of the brand. These were not hedged corporate positions carefully worded to allow future flexibility. They were declarations. Ferrari was drawing a line in Italian marble and daring the world to disagree. On May 26, 2026, Ferrari crossed its own line. At an event in Rome, the company unveiled the Luce, its first production battery electric vehicle. Luce means light in Italian. The car is a 5-door, 5-seat liftback with a 113 horsepower quad motor powertrain, a 122 kilowatt-hour battery, 330 miles of range, and a starting price of approximately $640,000. It reaches 60 miles per hour in 2.5 seconds and tops out at 192 miles per hour. The engineering numbers are genuinely extraordinary by any objective measure. The design is another matter entirely. The reaction was immediate and it was global. Many people said the Luce did not look like a Ferrari.
The legacy that Ferrari has, this is a very much a fully electric vehicle that is very un-Ferrari-like when you think of the 2 doors, 2-seater.
On the Western internet, it was mocked as looking closer to much cheaper cars, including the Nissan Leaf and the Fiat Multipla. Ferrari's shares fell approximately 8% after the launch, suggesting that investors who usually have access to better information than Twitter were not convinced by the company's first electric model. Italian Deputy Prime Minister and Transport Minister Matteo Salvini publicly criticized the car's aesthetics and its price, questioning whether it aligned with Ferrari's identity. Former Ferrari chairman Luca di Montezemolo, the same man who had said he would not drive an electric Ferrari even if drugged, expressed disdain and reportedly suggested Ferrari consider removing the iconic prancing horse badge from the Luce entirely. Ferrari CEO Benedetto Vigna remained publicly optimistic, describing the Luce's launch as a significant milestone and emphasizing the importance of respecting new technology. He said the Luce would appeal to both existing and new customers, with deliveries targeting markets including China and tech-savvy buyers in Silicon Valley from the fourth quarter of 2026. He was calm, controlled, and entirely unwilling to engage with the criticism in the way that critics wanted him to, which is almost exactly the approach his company took with Matt Armstrong 3 months earlier. And the contrast is not lost on anyone watching both situations at the same time. But before you understand why Matt Armstrong's reaction to the Luce lands so much harder than any random internet commentators, you need to understand what Ferrari did to Matt Armstrong earlier in 2026.
A Ferrari 296. That was until the previous owner crashed it. And then I bought it in hopes to rebuild it. But along with all this damage, the car doesn't even start.
How Ferrari blocked Matt Armstrong from rebuilding their own car. Matt Armstrong bought a wrecked Ferrari 296 GTB that had been recovered from Cyprus after a serious crash. He paid approximately £100,000 for it, which sounds like a lot until you consider that a new 296 GTB cost somewhere north of £300,000, and that Matt had already proven with the Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport build that he was capable of bringing genuinely destroyed supercars back from the dead. The car would not start. The dashboard displayed the message, "Hybrid system failure, go to dealer." He went to work. He replaced airbags, sourced parts from eBay to avoid the extraordinary cost of new Ferrari components. He identified that the likely problem was the hybrid battery management system, which was preventing the car from powering up at all. He spent over $20,000 on a brand new battery system that also made zero difference. He documented every step for his 6.2 million subscribers, and the audience watched as the project that was supposed to be the next great Matt rebuild became the project that kept refusing to cooperate. Then Ferrari made it worse. Matt ordered genuine 296 Challenge racing parts to fit to the rebuild, a move Ferrari later pushed back against. His attempts to order parts directly from Ferrari were blocked. His chances of getting official diagnostic support were also dramatically reduced. Ferrari's position was built on their own factory rules. Because the car had been crash damaged, it was prohibited from being on site at a Ferrari dealership for diagnostics until the repair had been inspected and signed off by a Ferrari-approved body shop. Matt explained the circular impossibility of the situation directly. The car was not going to pass the inspection because they had fitted it with a race kit that he had ordered from Ferrari's own product catalog. Ferrari had sold him Challenge racing parts and then used the presence of those parts to prevent the car from receiving the official support it needed to start. The automotive world took notice. A YouTube video titled "Ferrari Just Proved They're Worse Than Bugatti" was published on February 23, 2026, comparing the Ferrari situation directly to the Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport build, where Bugatti CEO Matt Armstrong had at least responded publicly before eventually helping Matt find a solution.
And no disrespect to Matt Armstrong, I think he's doing amazing things. He's a great guy and all of that. Like, I also follow his videos, all good. But we just don't think it's safe.
Ferrari's silence was louder than anything Bugatti had managed. Matt eventually sent a direct email to Ferrari corporate, hoping the company would reconsider. He documented that email on camera, which is the automotive YouTube equivalent of posting a certified letter publicly, and waited for a response that took months to arrive. In the end, after sustained public pressure and months of waiting, Ferrari eventually agreed to help. Matt got his 296 GTB running with a 296 Challenge body kit fitted, turning it into what he described as essentially a 296 GTB with a Challenge specification. But the damage to the relationship between Matt and Ferrari's corporate structure had been done in public, across dozens of hours of documented content watched by millions of people. And when Ferrari walked onto a stage in Rome in May 2026 and revealed a car that immediately became one of the most mocked automotive launches in recent memory. The man with 6 million subscribers who had spent months fighting the same company for the right to fix one of their cars had a very specific and very credible perspective to offer. So when the same creator Ferrari once tried to silence, looked at the loose and immediately understood why people were turning against it, the obvious question became impossible to avoid. What exactly was so wrong with this car's design that it managed to unite critics, fans, and even longtime Ferrari loyalists against it almost overnight?
There it is. The 5-seat model is priced at a mere $640,000 and marks a sharp break from the sport cars.
The loose's design problem and why Matt Armstrong's opinion matters. The Ferrari loose controversy is not primarily about the electric powertrain, although that generates its own significant debate given Ferrari's historical position on battery electric vehicles. The controversy is about what the car looks like and what it represents for a brand whose entire commercial identity is built on emotional response to physical beauty. The Loose was designed partly through a partnership with Love From, the design studio founded by Jony Ive, the man responsible for the look of the iPhone, the iMac, the MacBook, and essentially the entire visual identity of Apple during its most influential period. He was joined by Mark Newson, the Australian industrial designer considered one of the most important figures in that field of the past 30 years. Ferrari's choice of these two designers was clearly intended to signal a pivot toward a technology-forward aesthetic that would speak to the wealthy tech buyers in Silicon Valley and the Chinese EV market that Ferrari has been losing ground in for years. The result intended to project calm and refined simplicity through what Ferrari describes as a glasshouse design flowing unbroken from the front fascia over the roof to the tail, has instead drawn comparisons to a rejected Apple car prototype, a Jaguar I-Pace in formal wear, and on multiple corners of the internet, a Honda Accord. Ferrari's own head of product marketing acknowledged before the reveal that customer reaction was going to be very much mixed. That is an extraordinary thing to acknowledge before your own car has been shown to anyone. The body format itself generated controversy before anyone had even discussed the styling. The Luce is a 4-door, 5-seat liftback, the first Ferrari in the company's history, capable of seating 5 passengers simultaneously. Rear occupants enter through coach doors hinged at the B-pillar, a suicide door arrangement that Ferrari also uses on the Puro Sangue SUV. For a brand whose identity has been built almost entirely on 2-seat sports cars and mid-engine exotics seating 5 people, is a statement that a significant portion of Ferrari's existing ownership did not ask for and does not want. The wheels added their own controversy. The Luce rides on 23-inch front and 24-inch rear wheels, the largest staggered fitment ever installed on a production Ferrari road car. Critics argued that the pairing was wrong for the task and that Ferrari's design language, historically built on aggression, emotion, and sensuality, was absent from either Jony Ive or Mark Newson's portfolio. Matt Armstrong knows what Ferrari design language actually feels like from the inside of a build. He has rebuilt a Ferrari 812 Superfast. He fought Ferrari corporate for months over a 296 GTB. He has spent more documented hours inside these cars, under their bodywork, pulling apart their systems and understanding what makes them function than almost anyone commenting on the Luce from the outside. When he speaks about whether the Luce looks like a Ferrari, he is not speaking as someone who has driven past one in a car park. He is speaking as someone who has had his hands inside these cars in ways that very few people have been permitted to experience. A YouTube video published in March 2026, titled Matt Armstrong's Bold Ferrari Call-Out, documented his perspective on the entire situation. Ferrari had blocked his parts, delayed his project, and created bureaucratic obstacles that he had to fight through over months while documenting the whole process publicly. And then the same company had apparently launched a concept car showing the same direction as the race kit. He had been blocked from fitting to his 296 GTB. The specific irony of Ferrari blocking a YouTuber from building something and then revealing a production car that gestured in the same direction was not lost on anyone watching closely. And that contrast only made the backlash even louder. Because while Ferrari's leadership remained calm and confident about the company's electric future, the internet had already decided the Luce represented something far more dangerous than just a controversial redesign. So who exactly was the man trying to guide Ferrari through this transition? And why did his vision immediately collide with the expectations of Ferrari fans around the world?
Let's see if it'll go first time. But nothing.
Benedetto Vigna stays calm, and the internet does not. Ferrari CEO Benedetto Vigna has been in the job since 2021, arriving from the semiconductor industry rather than from a traditional automotive background. His appointment was itself a signal that Ferrari understood the direction the industry was heading, and that managing the transition to electric power was going to require someone comfortable with technology, rather than someone who had spent their career worshiping combustion. His response to the Luce backlash has been consistent and measured. He has not engaged with the mockery on social media. He has not addressed the former chairman's suggestion about removing the prancing horse. He has not entered into any public argument with anyone who described the car as looking like a Nissan Leaf. He only said that the Luce represents a significant milestone, that it demonstrates Ferrari's engineering capabilities in the electric era, and that deliveries will begin on schedule in the fourth quarter of 2026. This is almost exactly the posture Ferrari adopted when Matt Armstrong's build became a public issue. No public response, no CEO appearing on social media to engage. with a 6 million subscriber YouTuber the way Bugatti CEO Mat Armstrong had done during the Chiron Pur Sport controversy. Just institutional silence while the situation played out, followed eventually by a quiet resolution that allowed Ferrari to claim it had addressed the problem without having to admit publicly that the problem had existed. The parallel between how Ferrari handled the Matt Armstrong situation and how Vigna is handling the loose backlash is revealing. Ferrari is a company that has decided at the institutional level that engaging with criticism directly costs more than it gains. The brand's value is built on exclusivity, aspiration, and the deliberate distance between Ferrari and the people who want but cannot have what Ferrari makes. Engaging with a critical YouTuber or with commenters calling the loose ugly would require Ferrari to acknowledge that those people's opinions matter. Ferrari has decided they do not, at least not enough to change course. The strategy has commercial logic behind it. Ferrari shipped 13,640 cars in 2025, and 81% of them went to existing owners. The company's pre-order books for the loose are open. Deliveries begin in October 2026, targeting markets including China, where Ferrari sales had dropped from approximately 1,500 units in 2022 to around 900 in 2025, and Silicon Valley, where the wealthy technology buyers Ferrari is chasing are already comfortable with electric cars and less attached to the traditional Ferrari identity that the existing ownership base is defending. Ferrari is not building the loose for the people who are loudest about hating it. It is building it for a market that barely knew Ferrari existed before an electric car gave them a reason to look. Ferrari's shares fell 8% on the day of the loose reveal, which is significant. But analysts noted that the engineering of the car, the quad-motor powertrain, producing 1,113 horsepower, the 880-volt platform built specifically for the loose, the 122 kilowatt-hour battery charged at up to 350 kilowatts, had been almost completely buried by the design controversy. An engineer who attended the Rome reveal said the design conversation had completely buried what Ferrari did from an engineering standpoint, and that the actual technical achievement deserved more credit than it was receiving. Matt Armstrong, who has spent months pulling apart Ferrari's engineering and fighting for the right to interact with it on his own terms, would probably agree that the engineering is more interesting than the design debate. He would also probably say that Ferrari's relationship with the people who actually get inside their cars and work on them deserves to be better than it currently is. And that is where the story stops being about one ugly car or one frustrated YouTuber. Because when you place Ferrari's response to Matt Armstrong beside the reaction to the loose, a larger pattern starts to appear. Why does a company built on passion seem increasingly uncomfortable with the people most passionate about its cars?
The car wasn't doing anything, so we decided to bring over the door and plug that in to see if that would help. Yeah. Well, that's in. And action.
What the 296 battle reveals about the loose situation. Ferrari's strict ownership policies are widely known. Violating them can reportedly land owners on the brand's so-called blacklist. The policies exist because Ferrari's brand value depends on controlling what the cars are associated with, who drives them, what condition they appear in publicly, and how they are modified. A crashed 296 GTB being rebuilt on YouTube with racing parts, fitted by a Leicester mechanic who has over 6 million people watching, is not the association Ferrari has in mind when it thinks about how its cars should appear in the world. The loose is the same philosophy applied to product design. Ferrari has decided what the future of the brand should look like based on analysis of where its sales are declining, what regulations are requiring, and what markets are growing. The people who say the loose does not look like a Ferrari are expressing a preference for what Ferrari was, not what Ferrari has decided it needs to become. And Ferrari has decided at the institutional level that their existing owners' preferences and the internet's mockery are both manageable costs compared to the revenue opportunity in electric luxury markets, where their combustion-powered identity is less relevant. Matt's situation was resolved eventually because Ferrari concluded that the cost of continued conflict with a 6 million subscriber YouTuber who was documenting every step of the dispute outweighed the cost of quietly helping him finish the build. Ferrari helped. Matt got the car running. The 296 GTB became a 296 GTB with a challenge kit, and the story ended with a working car rather than a six-figure write-off. But it took months of public pressure to get there, and the underlying policies that created the conflict have not changed. The Loose will follow a similar trajectory. The immediate backlash will fade as the first cars are delivered to owners and the reality of the experience replaces the rendering on a screen. Do you think Ferrari CEO Benedetto Vigna is handling the Loose backlash the right way by staying silent and letting the product speak for itself? Or does he need to actually respond to the people who are saying Ferrari has lost its identity? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.